Welcome to Rat Salad Review. We are back with Lou Mabs, of course. He's part of the show as usual now. Permanent member.
And we're recording this on St. Patty's Day, so
That's
may the good Lord bless you in heaven before the devil knows you're dead, and kiss my Irish ass. Cheers.
And we are also here with Prophet from the band Saint Madness. But you also have a new solo album out, Prophet, right?
I do, and it's St. Patty's Day, and my real name is Patrick. I was named after St. Patrick. And I don't drink anymore, but I made sure to smoke some green today. So I got that going for me. And yeah, I do have a new solo record out called Last Days in Paradise. And, you know, I call it a solo album, but really all the current members of St. Madness took part in that album. Plus 3 former guitar players of St. Madness took part in the album. And then a few musician friends I have that I have a lot of respect for. And I just basically got all these people to do little parts in it, you know. I would say to a person, you can submit up to 2 songs musically. And so I just kind of pieced all these people together, and it came out really amazing. And it's mostly acoustic.
Yeah, I noticed that. I wasn't sure because you have another one out, right? You have a solo album out from like a while ago, right?
Yeah, the other one was called The Edge, and I put that one out in 2010.
Okay.
So it's been 11 years since I did. But I like all kinds of music, and heavy metal will always be my favorite. But I also like people like Waylon Jennings and Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson, stuff like that, and Americana music or country music. So, you know, we do these albums in our side time. So we take our time with them. And we didn't start this album until 3 years ago. So it took us about 3 years to complete it. But we did it in our extra time. We didn't take anything away from St. Madness to do it.
Yeah, I remember because last time you were on the show, you were saying that you were getting ready to start a new solo album. So, yeah. So I was surprised that you did take that long because it was just you just released it a week or so ago?
No, just a few days ago on the 14th. A few days ago.
Okay, all right.
Yeah, and it's only released digitally at this time because we're on our own label. Nasty Prick Records is owned by me and Margie, St. Madness manager. And so everything we've done all these years for 28 years, we did out of our own pocket. We didn't have any label support or anybody step up and hand us a bunch of money or whatever. Everything we've done, St. Madness has 11 albums out, and now Prophet and the Cowboys of Apocalypse has 2. And we did all those since 1993.
Wow. So how is it running your own company? Because I'm in the midst of getting my first album out in a long time, and we're going to do it all by ourselves. I'm not going to send it to a record company or anything. So how is it doing all that on your own?
You know, for the most part, it's great. The bad part is, of course, if you get picked up by a bigger label in the past, I can't speak for these times today because everything's changed so much. Yeah. But back then, like in the early 90s, if you signed a normal kind of deal with a label, they would front you like $300,000, $250,000, $300,000. Out of that money, you would make your album, and you would hire a producer. The label would help you with a publicist, and a publicist's job is to get you press everywhere, and especially where you can't get it for yourself.
Mm.
So you do get some help with the big labels, but like you, I just thought, you know what? I'm going to promote all these things myself. And for me, at least being on our own label, we can make the music we want to make. I don't have anybody walking and going, out of the 10 songs, 7 of them are great, but those 3 we need to change with something else and blah, blah, blah. We can put out the albums we want. But again, it comes out of our pockets. And all our albums, we make nice 16-page booklets, and we spend the money to get a really good artist, and we want to make as professional of a product looking and sounding as Metallica or anybody else
Right.
without the benefit of a big label. So Margie and I have been together for 25, almost 26 years, and we scrape and save our money, and we don't go out to dinners hardly, or we sacrifice in order to do this. But it's good. I'm very proud of everything we've done.
Yeah. Yeah, and it shows too, because like you said, all the booklets and stuff that come with your CDs, and even the music, the way it's produced and mixed and all that, sounds very professional. So you can't really tell the difference between somebody that's spending millions of dollars to have, a recording between yours. Which is good about today, because the technology, anybody can do it.
Yeah, it's
That's
I call it disrupting the status quo. Like you're going against the grain of what you're expected to do, or
Yeah.
of what you're limited by when you're dealing with a major label or a major distro. Kudos to you on that.
Yeah, and I'm not knocking the labels, because if Nasty Brick Records suddenly had a lot of money, I would sign artists,
Mm.
and I would expect certain things from the artists on my label, and I understand why labels are that way. It's just that I'm not going to say we never went after labels, but we didn't do it very much. Like, we would send out stuff here and there, but we did not pursue labels hard. The one label who I sent the most up to is Brian Slagle at Metal Blade Records. I sent him like 4 albums, and 4 times I got really nice rejection letters in the mail. And I really like Brian. To me, Brian is metal, because he was like I am now, and he started on his own and he built it up. And I'm friends with the guys in Sacred Reich and with the guys in Flotsam and Jetsam, and those are the 2 most famous, probably, metal bands to come out of Arizona, besides, like, if you're going to talk about Alice Cooper, but he's really rock and roll, not really metal.
Yeah.
But those 2 metal bands, and they're great guys. And I was hoping to get hooked up with Brian. He was the only one I was really interested in, was Metal Blade. But I don't know. I guess he didn't want it, so it's all good.
Yeah, you're on your own now, so better off anyway. But since Lou is new to the show, this is the first time he's ever heard of you or Saint Manus or anything. So this is the first thing he's ever heard.
Yeah, I have to admit, I am a noob when it comes to the music of Prophet, whether it's Prophet or Saint Madness. But I will say this: Wayne brought it to my attention last week after we did our last recording, and he said, "Check this out." And Wayne was kind enough to send me the tracks, although I did notice that it's I was looking for it on iTunes to see if I could buy it, and I see that it's only available on Bandcamp. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to purchase this album, I would suggest going to his Bandcamp page, because that way you'll directly support Prophet and the Cowboys of Apocalypse. And to me, as I promote on my podcast, that it's best to support the artist directly rather than going through different channels where they'll only make like 1/8 of a point of a percent. I don't know the math, but you get the gist of it. But I admit I didn't have expectations. I just said, okay, new band, although Saint Man has been around for a long time, so I mean, no offense by that. But when I heard it, I said, all right, new band, and I will admit it grew on me. At first, I was a little like, Then the more I listened to it, I said, okay, and it got to a point where it's the only thing I've been listening to the last couple of days, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's got that really nice mix of like acoustic rock meets outlaw country meets Americana. And the only thing I could say about it is after this interview is over, when I get my paycheck tomorrow, I plan on directly purchasing a copy. So
Oh,
it's good
yeah.
stuff, man. And then I discovered St. Madness after this. I said, let me hear his other stuff. And I heard St. Madness. I was like, wow, okay, cool. All right. So that's what's up. So
Uh,
yeah, man. I only apologize that it took me this long to get to know who you were.
well, I'm just happy you like the music, because the way I look at it is the music is going to be here when I'm dead and gone. And it doesn't matter whether I was on a big label or little label or other than, of course, a big label will put out hundreds of thousands of copies of things. But to me, the art is most important. And I'm very, very proud of what we've done. And no, it's not perfect. I can listen to any one of our records and find little things here and there, or I could have sang better or whatever. But I am really proud of everything we've done. We take the time, and the acoustic album. The best way to describe it is, we're a theatrical shock metal band in St. Madness, and we wear face paint. And Prophet with St. Madness is more of a character, and the Prophet and the Cowboys of Apocalypse, the lyrics I write for that album is more from my heart and soul. So people who listen to those albums, they're really getting to know me personally much more. Whereas St. Madness is a theatrical show. It still has some lyrics in there that are true to my heart and my life, but pretty much all the acoustic stuff is like I'm putting my soul out there on the line.
Mm.
And there's a lot of pain on the new album. That's why it's called Last Days in Paradise. I
Mm.
wrote the song when I had to sell my parents' house that they had lived in since 1987. And my
Wow.
stepdad died in 2000. And then my mom passed away in 2008, and we sold their house in 2009.
Mm.
And I remember bringing my eldest son there when he was just born, and all the memories in that home. And it really broke my heart to have to sell their home, but I had to. The bank wouldn't let us pick up the mortgage, so I had to sell it. So I wrote Last Days in Paradise. And then the song Kate is about my sister who passed away from cancer in March of 2020. And the last song, In Memory of Scotty, is the very first song I ever wrote and recorded in my life. We
No.
recorded it back in 1981, so it's 40 years old. And I was an 18-year-old kid, and it was the guy playing piano and singing backup was 17. And he
Mm.
reminded me of Elton John, and we wrote this song, and I've just carried it with me all these years. And I thought when we were putting out this album, I thought, in memory of Scotty, the music kind of fits with this album. Plus, it's its 40th anniversary since we did it, and I just included it as pretty much a bonus track.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
that
I'm
was
really
pretty cool. I really like that bonus track. It's pretty good, and also too your voice is really good on that song. You do a lot of different things too back then too, obviously because you were younger back then, but
yeah.
but yeah, your voice it's a little different. I can still hear you in it, but you do a lot of higher things in that.
Oh
It
yeah,
sounds really
yeah.
cool.
And that song was written for my friend that passed away.
Oh, okay.
So, like I said, there's a lot of pain on the album, but there's a lot of
Yes, I
joy too.
noticed that. Yeah. Yeah.
Um, I'm just being real on it,
Yeah.
No paint, no acting, no nothing.
Mm.
I was gonna say with In Memory of Scotty, you definitely channeled your inner Jen Steinman. I mean, everything about it just sounds, I wouldn't say polished at all. I mean, it's raw, it's heartfelt, it's honest, and it's beautiful. I mean, the lyrics, the vocal melodies, the piano. I
Hmm.
mean, dang man, wow.
I had never wrote a song in my life, but
Mm.
this guy who died was 65 years old. It's really odd because when my mother and I originally met him in a town called Solvang, California, and back then we lived in Santa Ynez, on the same road that Ronald Reagan lived in. When everybody said Ronald Reagan was at the Santa Barbara Ranch, it was never Santa Barbara, it was Santa Ynez. He was up in the mountains, and we were in the valley on the same Refugio Road. If you took it from our house and went up in the mountain, you'd go right to his ranch. But anyway, we had just moved there, and we met this man who was 65, and he was playing a concertina, which is a little accordion.
Mm.
And he was singing. He would walk up to people and start playing a song. And when he was done, they'd look at him and they go, "Oh my God, that's the song they played at our wedding," and he'd just smile. And he could sing in 4 languages. He was born in Scotland but raised in Germany. And before he had moved to Solvang, he was a butcher in Phoenix, Arizona for 25 years, right? And he was on his way to San Francisco when he broke down in Solvang, which is a little Danish town in California, about 40 miles north of Santa Barbara. It's beautiful. If you ever get a chance, go visit Solvang, California. You'll love it. And of course, because he was European, he fit right in there. Well, he became quick friends with my whole family. And then on Christmas Day in 1980, he had a massive heart attack and passed away.
Mm.
So last time I saw him, he played the song Silver Bells for me, and he just smiled, and I never saw him again. And it hit me so hard that I wrote lyrics because I was just a kid. I hadn't had any people other than maybe my grandparents die or someone, so I hadn't really gone through a lot of death. And he really touched me. Well, oddly enough, all these years later, right, I end up moving to Arizona, where he was a butcher for 25 years.
Oh, wow.
So the whole thing came full circle. And
Yeah.
I thought, I've got to put it on the record.
I wanted to ask you a question, actually. When it came time to writing that, since you mentioned that it was your first song and it's the oldest recording that has your lyrics and your vocals to tape, how intimidated were you to write it in the first place, or did it feel like it was something that came naturally?
The words just came natural. And back then, my parents owned a fast food restaurant in Buellton, California called Stars Drive-In.
Oh, wasn't it In
And
and Out?
no, it wasn't In and Out, but it was better. It was better food. And we were on the
There,
Avenue
okay.
of Flag. There's a big famous Anderson split pea soup building there across the street. My friend Wendy came to the restaurant one day and she said, because I had told her I wrote these lyrics, and she said, "Well, I have a friend, Kevin, and he's great on piano. He writes songs." And I said, "Well, I'd like to meet him." Well, the first time I met Kevin, I showed him my lyrics, and he goes, "I have a piece of music I was working on, and I have no lyrics or nothing. See if we can do anything with that." And immediately when he played it, my lyrics fit perfect. Like I think I fixed, like, originally I said, my friend has passed away a heart attack on Christmas Day. And he said, that line there is kind of too harsh. And I said, okay, I changed it to my friend passed away, the price for life we all have to pay. And that was the only thing I had to change in the whole song. It fit like it was made for it. And like I said, he was 17 years old and I was 18. And this song just came out. And right after we recorded it, we got it on the radio in Santa Barbara, Solvang, San Ynez, Santa Maria, Lompoc. Um, it's got a magical feeling to it, that song. And I think it's mostly Kevin's piano playing, but it just fell together. I don't know. I had no stress over it whatsoever.
Mm. Yeah. I'm surprised you kept that thing that long. I mean, how did it not get lost?
I just carried it with me. I save everything. Like all the history of St. Madness, I have literally everything. I
Wow.
saved everything. I have tons and tons of videos from shows and photographs and practices where we recorded ourselves writing songs, and I saved every bit of it. So when I die someday, my kids are gonna have a big pile of stuff to have to throw out somewhere, but I saved everything.
I might just go in with you.
I meant to ask you, was it originally on from 1-inch tape? Did you have to bake the tape to get the track out, or did you have it already digitally bumped that you were able to put it on the record?
No, originally we didn't even record it other than sitting a little cassette deck down with a microphone and recording this. Once we knew the song, we went to a really nice recording studio. It was called Spectrum Studios in Santa Barbara. And I forget, we paid like $150 or something to record it because it's only piano vocal. There's nothing else on there. So I carried that I think it's 2-inch or 1-inch tape master with me all these years. And then like 10 or 15 years ago when we were in the studio with Larry Elia, I think it was Larry, I had him bump it into digital because the tape was getting old and just old. It was separating, you know. So he fixed it and recorded it, digitally. And so now I have it, but that's why it's not as loud as some of the other songs and stuff because it's old, it's 40 years old.
Yeah. But yeah, going back to the album, I mean, I really enjoyed it a lot. I didn't know what to expect. I didn't know it was going to be like all acoustic, except that one song. What was it song? PC Crap.
Yeah,
That's more towards your Saint Madness type stuff. But yeah, most of it's all acoustic, and it's really cool. I mean, I like a lot of this, most of the songs really. The hard one for me to listen to is Kate. How hard was it for you to write that song?
So when my sister told me that she had stage 4 lung cancer, I called Sid and we got together and immediately wrote the song.
Hmm.
And I asked him if we could go to his house because he has a little Pro Tools set up. So right away we went to his house and recorded it. And I mean, I don't really have trouble admitting this, but I was crying when I recorded those vocals.
Yeah.
And when we went into the studio to, make it for real, both Sid and I agreed that the original vocal has the emotion on it. Right. So we stripped the vocal off of the recording we made at Sid's, and we used that in the album. We put it in there. And my sister did get to hear the song. It was a rough mix. It wasn't the final mix and mastered version. But it made her cry because she thought it was so beautiful. And the other thing is, my sister and I, unfortunately, for our whole lives, we butted heads all the time, and we just didn't have much in common. I went into heavy metal and partying and drugs and whatnot, and she liked to party, but she liked a whole different style, of life and music, and she was 7 years older than me. So we've always had a lot of love for each other, but unfortunately, we butted heads a lot. And so I wrote that song to say thank you to her because everything that I mentioned in there is true. Right. I had spinal meningitis in 1984 and I was in a semi-coma and I woke up in the hospital and she was sitting right next to my bed smiling at me. And it just helped give me strength to get better. And when I was a crystal meth and cocaine addict and a drunk, my sister introduced me to Alcoholics Anonymous. And I mean, she did things that helped save my life. We may not have got along all the time, but she really cared about me and saved me. And I wanted to write something really special for her. I thought she deserved it.
I just wanted to say thank you for that because it hit home with me. As Wayne knows, I lost my brother 5 years ago to a heart attack. Him and I definitely, we were alike in a lot of ways. We were different in a lot of ways. I still miss him every day. He's the reason why I became a musician in the first place. So he left a huge positive impact in my life. And, our common band was always Rush. So whenever I listen to Rush, I always think of him. But when I heard this song for the first time, I admit I got choked up. And it's very rare when an artist gets me to choke up. And it takes a very special artist to do that. So I just wanted to say thank you for writing that song because, as someone who's, been through it, it means a lot to me that another artist would even channel that kind of emotion and release something as real as that. As real as that. Thank you for that.
I'm really glad you like it. And when I was a little kid, my sister, there's a part in there I said, hey, do you remember the Kathy and Patrick show? And when I was like 5 years old, again, she was 7 years older than me, so she was my big sister. She said, hey, we're going to do the Kathy and Patrick show, and we put on little shows for our parents and stuff. And so I said, you're the one who started me in show business because I got the bite back then. I got the itch to like performing, And there's so many little things that she did. My sister always played acoustic guitar. She loved Ovation guitars, and she loved this kind of music that I'm making now. She didn't like the heavy metal, so she couldn't relate to it, and she just didn't get it. She thought too at one time I was like serving Satan and all this, and I'm like, it's just entertainment, man. If you walk up to Robert Englund in the grocery store, and you're not going to hold it against him. I hope not, that he played Freddy Krueger, because it's entertainment, and people don't understand that guys in bands are also in show business. It's entertainment.
Right.
We're not going to go out and kill people or drink blood, or not real blood. I used to drink a TV shit on stage, but
Right.
it's all about entertainment. That's all it is.
Yeah. Yeah, and you definitely do that, and yeah, like Lou said, I mean, it's not a hard song to listen to because it's bad. It's just what the song is about, and just bringing back memories, even from my past, relatives that have passed away and stuff. So it's a great song, and I'm glad you were able to get that out, and I'm glad she got to hear the beginnings of it. So that's cool.
It still brings tears to my eyes sometimes, and again, she's only been gone for a year,
right?
So I mean. It takes time to. I don't think you ever get over losing someone close to you. It's just that you get to where you can stand on your own 2 feet a little better as time goes on. Yeah. And I've lost so many people in my family in the last 10 years. Wow. And right before, in December of 2020, my AA sponsor, John Arthur Carter, who I had since 1990, he succumbed and passed away to COVID-19. Right. And John, even though he was in Missouri, I could call him anytime and we would just talk. And he would always say the right thing to help make me feel better. And he never had any ego about it. He never told me what to do, but he was there for me, and he helped get me sober. And he saved my life along with my sister. She gave me a place to stay in Missouri when I needed to go back there to go to treatment. So it's because of her and John that I got clean and sober. And now I'm having to walk completely on my own, if you will, because I can't talk to either one of them. I look at the sky and talk to them, and I hope they hear me. It's just been very difficult. I've had at least 10 family members, and I've had 3 dogs, a parrot, all my sponsor, and like 4 friends all die like in the last 10 years. Every time I turn around, someone's dying. And that's why when my little parrot got sick, he's 26 years old, Right. And it's just breaking my heart, So yesterday I rushed him to the vet, and I know, Patagonians only live to like 30, and he's already 26. But he's this little bird, and he loves me more than any human being will ever love me. And so I'll do anything for that bird.
2 things. I'm going to go give my dog a big kiss on the face when this interview is over. And 2, I am so sorry I'm drinking a pint of Guinness while we're having this interview. I will refrain.
I'm not anti-alcohol. No, look, as an entertainer, right? I'm a lead vocalist. My job is to sell alcohol. Yeah. If people don't buy alcohol, I have nowhere to play or perform. Yeah.
Now I don't feel so bad.
No, please don't, because the difference between me and other people is I'm too immature for alcohol. When I would drink, I would only want to get fucked up. That's all I cared about. I wanted to be wasted. It wasn't about, oh, gee, this beer tastes lovely. It wasn't. It was about get fucked up, right? When I was doing meth or cocaine, it was about get wasted. And in the beginning, I was a fun guy that people would invite to parties. And at the end there, nobody wanted me at their parties. My family didn't want to be around me. I was 129 pounds when I got clean. I'm like 215 right now. So all my clothes looked like they were hanging on a hanger. I was literally dying. So I'm all good with alcohol, man. If you can drink alcohol and conduct yourself as a grown-up and a man, great. But I can't do that. I'm immature. I drink. I go crazy. And people hate me.
I respect that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, this has nothing to do with music right now, but that's how I am when it comes to, well, I have a sweet tooth, so I can't control myself around candy. So I yell at my wife when she brings home cookie dough. I'm like, we are not making cookies. When's it Christmas?
Right, right. I'm the same way. I gotta watch it, man. I love sweets, you know.
Mm,
I love my cigars.
ah,
I smoke like four of these a day,
what
every
brand do
day.
you smoke?
This is called a tobacco special. It's made by Drew Estate.
Very cool.
It's coffee infused. All right. So they get the tobacco, they pile it in a room, and then they get coffee extract and turn it into a mist. And they shoot the mist in the air, and the tobacco soaks it up, and then they roll cigars out of it.
I
I
have to get
just
that if they
love,
sell in New York.
yeah, I just love them. But you know, I smoke like four a day, and you know, and I love to smoke pot, and I only smoke probably three times a day. Which, when I say smoke, a few hits, whatever. But I just I've learned that I have to take responsibility for myself. I can't point, you know, at someone else and say it's their fault if things go bad. I've got to keep my own side of the street clean. I've got to look in the mirror and respect the man I see in the mirror. And the only way to do that is by taking responsibility, you know. So even though I still love to party, I love to get high, and but you know, I'm careful how I do it, and you know, I don't want to be driving around on a road and risking other people's lives like I was when I was drinking. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I'd wake up the next day and run out to my driveway hoping my car was there, and sometimes it was, and sometimes it wasn't. And if it isn't there, then you start the phone calls. Hey, where'd I leave my car? You know, and
Yeah.
so I'm more careful now. You know, I'm more responsible, and my life is 150 times better than it was in the 80s as far as having peace in my heart.
Mhm.
Now, I had a lot of parties in the 80s, and I'm not telling you I didn't have fun because I did.
There's no shame here, don't worry.
I
But
had
that's
fun. And girls were a drug like any other, you know, and when I was young, it was like notches on the belt because before I started singing in high school, I was a sports guy. I wanted to be a professional soccer player.
Oh, really?
But one day I started singing, and they put me in the Christmas choir at school doing Blue Christmas by Elvis as
Mm.
a duet with one of the choir girls. And the place went crazy. And that night, I was 16. That night, I signed my first autographs and noticed that ladies were paying attention to me. And the more I sang, the more ladies I met. And I realized, you know, 9 years of playing soccer never got me laid. And sports never got me laid, really, you know. But all you got to do is sing. And I'm not an overly attractive guy, but they didn't care. I was like, wow, this is great, you know. So I went for the gusto with the girls and everything in the 80s, man. People who put the 80s down, I say, you weren't there or you did it wrong.
Right.
Because when I was there, I had a great time.
I just think it's funny. Glenn Hughes says he does not remember the 80s. So
That's the way to do it. He did it right. So, but you can't do that forever. Like you can
Right.
party like a crazy man, but you know, they've made a very strong connection now with cocaine and speed use and people getting Parkinson's. Notice
Mhm.
why Glenn Tipton has Parkinson's and why Ozzy's shaking, and people better take a look at that. You know, I don't know if Muhammad Ali ever did cocaine, and he's one of my heroes and favorite boxers. But
Mm.
when he was young, remember how fast he talked and
Right.
how it makes you wonder. You know, it makes me wonder because he ended up at the end shaking like that, you know, because you keep taxing your body with all these speeds. And it's just an organ, man. You know, eventually your body's going to break down and say, I can't take this anymore. And Michael J. Fox
I was
admitted
gonna say.
that when he was on TV, he was a coke fiend, did a lot of coke.
Hmm.
Now
Now,
look at the
now, my
point.
grandmother had Parkinson's. Did she do coke?
I don't know, Wayne, did she?
You don't.
I don't know. Now I'm
Well, then
curious.
again, Lemmy was a professed speed addict, and it was cancer that took him out, not Parkinson's. He never had he never Parkinson's was never one of his ailments. It was cancer that hit him.
He was a methamphetamine guy and Jack and Coke.
That's
And
what, yeah.
until he died. And we saw him like a year and a half before he died. He played a casino here with Motorhead. And I said to Margie and my son Josh, he looks like he can barely stand up. Like he looked like he barely made it through the show.
Yeah.
And I've seen Motorhead a number of times, and that was not the Lemmy of old. He was Lemmy dying. I'm really glad we went and saw him though. I love Motorhead and I love Lemmy. And we saw Prince about a year before he died. And nobody knew he was going to drop dead. Look at all the rock stars that have died in the last few years. I mean, I guess they're
Keith Richards is still alive.
Yeah,
it's unfair, man. It's unfair.
And you know what? There's other ones to mention there. And of course, everybody says Ozzy, right?
Mm.
Another one. How could Ozzy still be alive? What about Neil Young? What about Iggy Pop?
Yeah.
Iggy Pop is a crazy man, and he's still going. I mean, I don't know how these guys do it. I was dying, literally. I would not have been able to hold up to those guys. I knew my time was coming, and that's why I got away.
Yeah.
Here I am.
I couldn't do it. Not for me.
Nor me.
Yeah, definitely not.
You know what? After a while, the drugs and the partying end up to being the most important thing in your life. And how sad is that?
Yeah.
I have two sons. I have fans in my band. A lot of bands, they get so wasted on drug after a while, they don't care about fans or nothing. All they care about is getting wasted.
Right.
And what a sad way to have your life be if this is truly the only chance you get at human existence. What a sad and horrible way to leave it.
Yeah.
I want something more.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, because then you wouldn't have your sons, and you wouldn't be here right now making the new album. You wouldn't be enjoying any of this stuff. So, but back to the new album. A lot of really cool songs. Ghost in a Trail. I love your storytelling voice. You're narrating throughout the song. Really cool.
You have a nice vibrato to your singing
do.
voice, by the way, and that got me when I first started. I was like, dang, that is not any modification they do in autotune. That is real shit right there. So
yeah, I learned to sing by listening to Elvis Presley and Tom Jones records when I was a teenager. And if you think of Tom Jones, he had that really powerful voice, and Elvis later voice, and I didn't know how to sing, so I would just, again, I was a sports guy, so I'd go home after school and I'd put on Elvis records. What really happened is when Elvis died in August of '77, I was out at a friend's house. We were in the pool, and his mom came out and she said, "Guess who died today?" And I said, "Who?" And she said, "Elvis Presley." I said, "Oh, who cared about him anyway?" Because he was my parents' generation. I knew and liked a few of his songs, but I wasn't a big fan or anything. So I'm like, who cares about him? That night, I was watching the chaos on all the news channels. And then every magazine that came out had him on it, every newspaper, and I thought, this guy was way more important than I thought. And I kind of felt bad for what I said.
Mm.
So I started reading everything I could read, and I started buying every record I could get of his. And that's how I learned to sing. I started singing his records in my bedroom. And when people heard me outside singing, they're like, "You sound like Elvis." So before I knew it, people didn't call me Pat anymore at high school. I went to Altaloma High School in California. They called me Elvis. So if they see me, they'd be like, "Hey, Elvis, what's up?" And it was fun for a while. But after a while, I thought, if I want to stay in music, I got to have my own identity and my own songs. But that's where the vibrato truly came from.
Yeah. Is that when Prophet started, or when did that start?
No, that started, I was 16 years old, and I was doing Elvis imitations in my high school and other high schools and other schools. And again, like I said, instantly I had girlfriends, and it was great.
Can't go wrong with that.
I just, at 15, I was old enough to know hey, when someone tells you someone dies, don't say, hey, who cares? Or, as a human being, they're
Yeah.
still a person, who matter.
Right.
And I had this guilt, and it made me learn about his music. And because of that, I ended up having a life in music.
Right. Yeah.
It's crazy. I've never been to Graceland. I would, that's like my bucket list before I die. I want to go step foot on that man's property.
Mm. Oh, I thought
My,
you were saying something, Lou. Yeah.
yeah, I was. My in-laws are actually going to Memphis for their wedding anniversary on Memorial Day week,
Mm.
and
Okay.
that's one of the stops that they plan on hitting. Maybe if I could ask them
Stuff? Should I pack my stuff now? What time?
no, I was gonna say I'll ask them if they could pick up a souvenir and I'll have it shipped to you.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Cool.
I just want to see his house once and see that the thing is when you're on your own label, like I said, we spend at least $6,000 per album to make them. Okay, so and that comes from me and Marge, and so I don't have a lot of money to take tons of trips and all that because we're always making a new album.
Right.
We're always doing something, so I don't get to do a lot of things that I would like to do. But I think I'll still make it to his house before I leave this world. I have, I have to. It's got to be done.
Yeah.
I have
Yeah.
to stand in front of his grave and say thank you not only for your music but for what you did for me.
Yeah.
It's important to have those kind of goals. I'm glad I actually made one goal. I survived going to the bathroom at CBGB. So if I can do that, you should go to Graceland.
And I'm going to the bathroom right now.
You said you weren't, you liar.
I'm not. I'm kidding. I'm not. I'm just sitting in here because the great acoustics.
You're a cheeky man, Prophet. I like you. Very nice.
And actually, that's where Elvis died too, right?
Yeah, he died on the throne.
Now wait a minute. Now, it's a rumor that he died on the throne in the bathroom
No,
eating
no,
a ham
no,
It's true.
sandwich.
no, it's not a rumor. He really did die on the toilet.
With
He
a ham
really did.
sandwich?
No, he was a crazy guy about reading. He loved to read books, and he had a Bible there and some other book. And Ginger Alden went to bed, and he said, I'm going to go in the bathroom for a while, and because he would read, he always read. And the next day, she woke up and he was dead on the floor. He fell off the toilet. They even said that he basically had his pants still around his ankles, like he fell off, died.
Not
So
a way for a man to go.
No.
Elvis, okay, so Elvis, right? All through the '60s, while he made 30 movies in the '60s. That's 3 a year.
Mm.
He was a speed freak back then, and that's why he was so skinny and looked good. He was a speed freak, and in the '70s, he had laid off the speed and started taking other things. And Elvis was a guy who believed as long as the doctor prescribed it, it's not drugs, it's medicine, and it's okay. Even if I have 10 doctors prescribing me at the same time, it's still fine. So when you look at him when he died, he got big and stuff. And what's really funny is if you go back and watch Elvis's last concert, now mind you, when that show was on TV, everybody talked about how huge and fat he was.
Mm.
If you watch that concert today, he's a normal guy walking down the street in his 40s. He's not huge. But because he got away from the speed and stuff, and he loved Southern cooking, and he was in his early 40s, like anybody, he started packing on the pounds. And, when I look at him, there's one thing I always wonder because I've had breathing problems throughout my life, and doctors like to prescribe something called prednisone. And if you take prednisone, it'll make you blow up. It's the drug that they say gives you moon face, like a big moon, and it retains water and makes you look fat. And he has that same kind of look that I had when I was on prednisone. And I just kind of wonder, if along with his medicine, if he wasn't taking things like prednisone and all, and it just took his heart out.
Yeah. Yeah, I would imagine it would. But like you said, yeah, I remember the pictures with his face being a lot fatter too, so it's very possible.
Yeah. But he's a regular guy walking down the street now. You know, back
Yeah, you
then
wouldn't even
people were
notice.
conscious, you know. Now, right now, if you're big, they don't tell you to do something good for yourself. They just go, "Oh, it's not your fault." There's
Yeah.
the new commercial on TV, Sonabello, right? Do you have diet resistant fat cells? That's what they tell people.
Oh
Go
my
talk
God.
to anybody in Ethiopia and tell them that they have diet resistant fat cells.
Right.
When people starve and they don't eat a lot,
Mm.
they lose weight.
Right.
It goes away. You know, look, we can't get better unless we go, you know what? I'm eating too much. I'm doing too much drugs. I'm drinking too much. I'm affecting other people and I'm making excuses for everything I do that I should be taking responsibility for. Now the doctors are telling you, oh, it's not your fault.
Mm.
Well, put the fork down.
Right.
I hate to say it. I know it sucks because I love to eat too, but I'm overweight.
Mm.
I'm probably 20 pounds overweight, you know,
Yeah.
but it isn't there because I have diet resistant fat cells. It's because I love to eat.
Well, Wayne knows that I've been through my own issues with health. I had the at by the end of August, I was about 300 pounds total, type 2 diabetes and high blood pressure. And thankfully, I had a doctor that said, you have to fix this.
Yeah.
And you know, I kept thinking about my daughter. I have a 2.5 year old daughter who I want to raise right and want her to think of food as a necessity, not as a luxury. So not to like, you know, indulge in bad foods. And I put that responsibility on myself. So, you know, I lost 40 pounds in a couple of months. I started working out, just eating better, reversed the type 2 diabetes, reversed the high blood pressure. So now I'm about 260 and I'm happy, I'm healthy,
Yeah.
and I mean, I could be healthier, but I'm healthier than I was in
Uh,
October. And you're right. It's funny how like at you're talking about Elvis in 1977, and people said that he looked all right. He looked fat, and you know, looking at it now, you can see that he wasn't, and not they're making excuses for it. Come on, it's ridiculous.
Mm.
no, and you know what? Elvis was 250 pounds, and they were talking about how huge he was. And back then, maybe he was. But if he were here today at that size, most people walking down, most guys in their 40s or above have a belly, you know. It's just
They
part
call
of
it
life.
dad bod now.
Yeah.
And, and all I'm basically saying is we can't, if people would have approached me and my meth addiction with, you know, it's not your fault and oh, you poor thing, and that's not how I got off it. I had to have people stand and say, look, you're being a fucking child. You're just killing yourself, and you don't care if you kill your parents in the process of because they have to watch you killing yourself or your family or your kids or your you have to be the one to look in the mirror and say, look, enough's enough, you know. The only way we get better is honesty, right? You can't achieve wisdom unless you have humility. Humility means that we're teachable. When you don't have humility, you don't listen to nobody.
Right.
When you have a little bit of humility, people can help you because you listen, and that leads you to wisdom. But wisdom comes with responsibility, you know. You ever notice how whenever you watch any of these shows and they have person, the real wise person doesn't talk too much.
Mm.
They learn to hold their tongue, you
Right.
know, 'cause
Yeah.
the world doesn't have to hear everything I have to say,
Yeah.
and you can see I'm clearly not one of those because I talk a lot, you know, but I learned a lot. And I March 30th, I will have 31 years off of alcohol, meth, and cocaine. And I still smoke pot and cigars, but that's it.
Oh,
Congratulations,
well,
though. That's a big
congratulations.
accomplishment.
And I played in venues that sell alcohol the entire time. And people say to me, does that ever make you want to have a beer? And I'm like, no. If anything, it reaffirms why I can't because I love seeing people party and having fun. I wish I could have been them, but I'm a dick. And when I drink, I'm a dick. And
Mm.
people don't want to party with me anymore. So
Yeah.
I do them a favor and me a favor. I just smoke pot and I'm not a dick.
It works for everybody.
Hear that, kids? Smoke pot, you won't be a dick. Very nice.
There's a commercial in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Wayne, make this a public service announcement for the show.
That's right. All right, get back to your album. My two favorite songs on here: "The Beauty of You" and no, I wrote this wrong. "I Believe in You." I think
Yeah.
probably your best vocal performance, I think, on this whole album. And what happened to your audio? What happened to your audio? It sounds like you dropped us in the toilet.
No, I'm right here. I was lighting my cigar.
No, your audio completely changed.
Oh, did it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Am I okay now?
No.
No, blow into it.
Yeah, blow into the phone.
Hello there?
Move the phone.
What?
Move it, like, I don't know, pick it up and put it back down or something. I don't know.
Is that better?
No, what the hell happened?
Let me check my volume here. Is that
Sound like-
better?
No.
Sounds like it's
Well,
doing something.
Is that better?
No. Hey, you know what? Hang up. I'll call you right back.
Okay.
We can edit this out.
It's called Looking for City. I didn't know you was going to start out with it. Looking for a city built above. Looking for a city where we'll never die. Where the saint and millions never say goodbye.
Do you not know how to hang up? The red button.
Where we'll meet our Savior and our loved ones too. Come, O Holy Spirit, for our homes renew.
No, we're supposed to see him. Put the selfie.
Now what?
Put it in selfie mode.
Now what'd you do?
Now I see all black. Oh, there we go.
Okay.
Prophet is in black.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay. So you had asked me about those two songs, right?
Yeah.
The Beauty of You I wrote for Margie. And like I said, she's managed St. Madness since 1995. And she's my soulmate pretty much. And so I wanted to write something really nice and pretty for her. And Sid and I came up with that. Sid's the lead guitarist to St. Madness. And him and I wrote the majority of the songs on the new record. And then the song "I Believe in You" I wrote for my stepson Tom, who is Margie's son, and he had struggles growing up and stuff. And that song was just my way to try to inspire him and to say, look, even if you think the world doesn't believe in you, at times I believe in you.
Now, did you have like a real orchestra? Because there's orchestra stuff in there. Is that a real one, or is that like keyboards or computerized? Or
No, we had a guy named Dave Cornwall did some of the orchestration for the album, and so did Brandon Mullis did some of his orchestration. In fact, on the song "I Believe in You," that was written and recorded, all the music, by the former lead guitar player of St. Madness, who was on the Vampires in the Church and Satanic albums like 10 years ago. And he did all the instrumentation on it.
oh wow,
Yeah.
yeah, I really like how that "I Believe in You" really builds up, and you got the orchestra in there, really cool. And then the "Beauty of You" sort of has like a '90s type ballad feel to it, I think.
Yeah, it does. And again, I just wanted to write something special for Marge. And it came out great. I love it.
Yeah, I like it too. And actually, me and Lou were just talking, and I stole his two favorite songs as well.
well, definitely one of them. "I Believe in You" is my second favorite song on the album. My favorite, it has to be "Prophet in Black."
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I love that one too. Yeah.
But "Ghost on the Trail," my notes for it, I said, a cool, spooky spoken verse track. I liked it. Definitely a wordsmith, Prophet. Definitely Johnny Cash influenced. I definitely hear inspiration from Ghost Riders in the Sky on that.
I love Johnny Cash. Yeah, definitely. And I figure, hey, the man in black's gone, so now we have Prophet in Black.
We'll take it.
I like it.
Yeah, it's very cool. And the artwork for the album too. I mean, I was looking for artwork, and you showed me to your guy. But was that your idea to have that artwork, or he'd come up with that?
No, he came up with it. I think he does a great job.
Yeah,
You know, Eric McFarlane.
yeah, it definitely fits with the style of the music too. It really works very well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think, and he's been doing our album art since 2003.
Hmm.
Oh, oh shit!
What? What
What
happened?
did I? What happened?
What happened?
Looking for a city where we'll never die, where the sainted millions never say goodbye.
All right, show's back on. You're back. Finally, you're back. You got your phone fixed.
And it sounds good, right? You can hear
Sounds
it.
Yes.
good. You don't sound
All
like a
right.
robot, and you didn't drop us in the toilet yet.
I'm kind of embarrassed, Wayne, because what have I been on and off like 3 times now in this?
Yeah, that's all right. I had worse when Michael Denner from Merciful Fate came on. He dropped in and out like maybe 5 or 6 times.
Yeah,
So that's all right.
yeah, and I liked your stuff with Martin Popoff, and
Oh, yeah.
he's a cool guy.
Yeah, yeah, he was pretty cool. We'll do more stuff with him too. There's so many shows. I can only do so much.
Right.
It's hard.
No, and you don't want to overdo it, you know.
Yeah. And then I try to cram all the shows on one day on like Wednesday. We try to record everything on Wednesday nights, and sometimes it just doesn't work out that way.
Yeah.
Lou knows, right? Sometimes we're up really late doing this stuff. So
Oh yeah. Well, we actually just did a Screams from the Grave episode on Kiss Hotter Than Hell. It was supposed to
Nice.
only be like a half-hour show. It ended up going into 2 hours, and that's when we realized don't ever put more than 3 people in a room to talk about Kiss because they will talk over each other, and the conversation will go on longer than it has to.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had no control over that.
Once I first got the Kiss Alive album in my hands, and I was 13, 14, anyway, 75 or 6. I was a kid. I was just blown away. I was in a music class at school, and the teacher sat us down one day and said, "Today we're going to talk about this new band that's out." And they had put out 3 albums previous, but none of them really sold, so nobody heard of them. And my teacher pulls out Kiss Alive, and he goes through the liner notes and reads everything to us, and I was just a huge Kiss fan instantly, and I
Wow.
still am to this day.
yeah,
You
that's pretty
know,
cool.
greatest show on earth. You
Yeah.
know, and they learned from Alice Cooper, who's from here. You know,
Right.
I met all the guys in Kiss. See, now we're gonna have a 2-hour conversation on Kiss. I met all the guys, the
Thanks, Lou.
original guys, right? I met Bruce Kulick and Eric Singer,
Dear
I
God
read
in
all
heaven,
their
what have I
books.
done?
And
And what do you think about today's Kiss?
huh?
What do you think about
Today?
today's Kiss? Yeah.
I'm totally good with it because, because purists will say, you know, if it's not Ace and Peter, but you have to understand those 2 guys screwed that whole band up. Now, understand, Wayne, if suddenly you're building your business and it becomes like you're the new, you know, Howard Stern, everybody's watching Wayne, right?
Yeah.
And then you have guys that are your partners who don't give a shit about all your hard work, and they start screwing it up for you. So, you know, on one hand, I go, yeah, that's not really Ace on stage, but Tommy Thayer does everything he can do to show true love and respect to Ace's playing. And Kiss wanted to continue. And the 2 guys that founded it with them were off in left, you know, field somewhere. And then you could say, well, just change your name and all that. Well, why should they have to change their name? You know, they did all the work. They put in all the time. And so when Ace and Peter came back for the reunion tour, they were both hired as hired guns. They did not come back as full members. And Gene and Paul did get them to sign a piece of paper because they don't read their contracts where they signed their makeup away, which gave Gene and Paul the right to put Eric Singer and Tommy Thayer and the Ace and Peter makeup. All I'm saying is when I see them in concert with Tommy Thayer and Eric Singer, they sound better to me because they're better musicians. I love Ace and I love Peter, but these 2 guys are better. The band sounds better. It's stronger. That's just my opinion. I'm nobody, but I've been a Kiss fan since alive.
Right. Yeah. So yeah, from the
I
beginning, basically. Yeah.
I mean, I respect it. I mean, it's your opinion, and that's cool. I guess for me, I I don't know. I guess it's kind of awkward for me seeing other musicians in characters that they didn't create. Um, but
Uh,
I'm not gonna knock the musicianship. I mean, Eric Singer's, I mean, the guy, he's, he made his own bones. He was in Lita Ford, he was in Black Sabbath, he was with Gary Moore, he was with
yeah,
Badlands.
the
He was with
guy's
Alice
phenomenal.
Cooper. He's
Yeah.
no joke.
Actually,
And
has he been in Kiss? Has he been the longest drummer in Kiss? Honestly.
at this point, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
longer than Eric Carr, yeah.
yeah. I met them all on the Revenge tour. That was the first time I met Eric Singer when they came to Tempe to play for the Revenge album, and couldn't have been a nicer guy, And I have huge amount of respect for him just because all the people you mentioned he's played with. And so, again, let's say you have a band and I'm your singer and I found the band with you, right? And we're doing good. And all of a sudden I decide drinking and getting wasted is more important to me, but you love the band that you worked hard in and you put your own blood, sweat, and tears in. And I now have power because I can look at you and go, if I quit, your band's over. You have to stop because I'm the original guy and you can't keep going. Well, that's not fair,
Mhm.
to say that to people. I am much more of a Van Halen, David Lee Roth fan. However, they made more money with Sammy Hagar. They had more hits and they made more money. I prefer David Lee Roth, but I respect the Hagar era because Eddie and Alex, should they have just quit because David quit? Should they put the band's name Van Halen? Should they put that away because David decided he was going to be a rock star on his own? So now their families are screwed and they have to start over like Dimebag and Vinny did when Phil quit and they started Damage Plan and they went from playing huge arenas to tiny bars again. See, it's a hard thing, man, because I've had a lot of members in St. Madness. I've been able to keep the band going for 11 albums because I did not let anybody take that control away from me. When our founding guitar player Van Pearson quit, I remember right away fans running up to me and going, "Oh my God, what are you going to do? Your band's over." I said, "No, I'm going to replace him." "Well, you can't replace him." I said, "I'm going to replace him." 2 weeks later, we were on stage opening for Sacred Reich with a new guitar player, and Steve was in the audience bummed out that he quit.
Yeah.
Steve is Vampirsome, and so we named him Vampirsome, like a vampire.
Right.
And he was in the audience and got to watch Dr. Frankenshred play all his shit. And he did it within a 10-day period because we said we got an opening spot with Sacred Reich. So there's a lot of people there. And he was in the audience and we replaced him that fast. And it hurt him, you know.
Yeah,
It hurt
right.
me in the audience and see him there. But for a year, he was threatening to quit. Every time he didn't like something. Kind of like what Peter Criss did with Kiss, right? Every time he didn't like something, "Oh, I'm out of here." Well, you can't give somebody like that control because you'll never get anywhere.
Right. Yeah.
Where has Peter Criss gotten since he left?
Pretty much.
He lives in New Jersey. That's about it.
And I like Peter, and I met Peter. I shook his hand. Kind of cool. But you can't let those guys be in charge. They're not the right guys to run the show.
Yeah.
They're running right in the ground.
Very similar to what happened to Rat Salad Review since I've started.
Yes. Oh, but Rat Salad, that's your baby, right?
Pretty
so
much.
if you started with two co-hosts and you go, "Okay, we're the three musketeers," and two of the musketeers don't want to do it, or they'd rather go get wasted or whatever, they got mad at something you said they didn't like. So that means it's over. Rat Salad Review. Now you have to change the name. You have to start over. What if the next time you start over, there's an asshole in that one?
Exactly.
Okay, you got to break. You start over a third time. You know what I did? Marge and I decided that we're going to keep St. Madness going till we decide to bring it down. And that's what we've done, you know.
Amen.
And I got to work with so many different great musicians because of that. You know, that's another thing they don't think of is I got to work with all kinds of great guitar players and stuff and write songs with these people. It made me a better songwriter. Aerosmith, right? Steven Tyler is my third cousin. And I didn't even know this till probably 10 years ago. All my family on my dad's side is Boston. And my grandmother on my dad's side, her name was Valentino. Steven Tyler's real name is Steven Tallarico. And back in the day, the Valentinos and the Tallaricos intermarried a few times. And so when my family did the family tree search and all the DNA and all that crap, they found that Steven Tyler's my third cousin. Now, I've seen him in concert 4 times, and I've never met the man to be able to tell him, hey, we're related. But we have a mutual third cousin named Tommy Tallarico. If you look up Tommy Tallarico, he's written more music for video games than anybody on the planet. Tommy is actually pretty much as wealthy as Steven is. And they're tight. Like, they hang out a lot because of Tallarico is. But when Tommy Tallarico comes here in town, he gives my family VIP everything, and it's really cool. I'd love to meet Steven someday because I've been a fan of Aerosmith since I was a kid, but I never knew we were related.
All right. Yeah, I love Aerosmith. Lou, were you saying something? I see you put your thing off.
No, just you know, I'm entrenched in the conversation.
No. Oh, actually, I was telling this to Lou the other day. Tell him your Black Sabbath story because Lou's a big Black Sabbath fan.
Yeah, this I gotta hear. They're my favorite band of all time.
We had a little bar here that is now called the Rebel Lounge, but back in the day, it was very famous. It was called the Mason Jar. It was basically Arizona's Whiskey A Go-Go. And we used to play, for 2 years, we played every shit show that we could get. And then once we put on Face Paint, we're headlining weekends everywhere. It was really that quick. So one day, Franco, the owner of the Mason Jar, calls me and he says, dude, I know you're a little Italian guy, and I know you're a weekend band, but my Monday night band canceled on me. Is there any way St. Madness would just do this show as a favor? I said, yeah, sure, Franco, we'll be happy to do it. You know, with Italians, if you do them a favor, they do you a favor. So we do him a Monday night, he gives us a good national opener or something, you know what I mean? So we were happy to do it, and as a band, we decided, you know, it's only a Monday night. There's not going to be many people there. We'll put on the smallest amount of face paint we can put on, and we'll do our show. So we did it. And there was like 30 people in the whole club. After I'm done, I go sit on a chair, and I'm smoking a cigar. You could smoke in the bars back then. This was January, either 97 or 98. But I don't know. I don't know the exact year. Anyway, I'm covered in blood, and Margie comes running over to me. She's like, you got to come with me right now. Franco's talking to this man, and he's interested in you, and he wants to talk to you. I'm like, what? There's 30 people here. I get up, I start walking to the bar, and Franco cuts me off, and he says, dude, you listen to me. This man is real, and this man who wants to meet you, he wants to do something good for you. So I'm like, okay. So I go up, and I shake the guy's hand. And he goes, hi, I'm John Baxter. I manage Rob Halford. And right away, because Rob Halford has a house here. He's here all the time in Arizona.
Yeah, he lives in Phoenix.
And yeah, and I live in Scottsdale, which is next to Phoenix. And so I'm like, holy moly, this guy manages Rob. And he goes, you know, you got a hell of a band there. And I said, wow, thank you. He goes, the problem is, I'm not looking for a band. And I thought, well, what are you looking for? And he goes, I'm looking for a vocalist. And again, I'm thinking, you got Rob Halford. What do you need? I said, for what? He said, for Black Sabbath. And the second he said that, I could feel all the blood rush out of my legs. And I thought I was going to fall down, really. I got like a little tipsy. And I said, could you say that again? And he goes, for Black Sabbath. He said, few people realize, but Rob had joined Black Sabbath, and he's been there for a while. And him and Tony, they were going to do an album and a world tour, and him and Tony had a falling out. Rob quit. Sabbath has been auditioning guys for 6 months, and Tony hates all of them. Do you think you could sing Black Sabbath music? Because I've watched your show. You resemble Ozzy a little bit, and I can hear that you've got a register similar. And I said, of course, Black Sabbath is one of my favorite bands in the world. Right then, he gets on a phone and he called Rob, who he said was in LA at the time. And I'm listening to him say, Rob, I think I found the guy for the Sabbath gig. And again, my legs have I'm wobbly. Because the whole thing was like, this isn't real. It's a dream. This doesn't happen to guys like me,
Mm-hmm.
And he hangs up the phone and he gives me a card. And it was a Monday night. And he said, call me on Friday and I'll let you know where I'm at setting you up an audition. I guess they were auditioning in LA or whatever. And about 4 days, I didn't sleep much and didn't eat much. And when I called him on the Friday, he goes, Pat, you're not going to believe what happened. And I said, what? He goes, Ozzy literally just decided in like the past couple of days to rejoin Sabbath, and they're going to do a world tour. And that was the first time Ozzy came back since he had left in 78. Nobody saw it coming. Nobody knew that he was going to, because he was having a very successful solo career. He didn't need it, but I'm glad he did it. So half of me is jumping up and down like, yeah, Ozzy's back in Sabbath. And the other part of me is going, missed it by that much. Because I would have got the gig, but even to play one song with those guys would have been such a huge honor, I don't care whether I would have made it or not. Just to be able to play a song with Tony Iommi and Geezer Butler, I mean, oh my God,
Hey,
And,
Wayne, I have an idea.
Hmm.
We'll do a Sabbath cover, Ozzy era. Have him sing it.
Of course. Sure. That's a good idea. Yeah.
Actually, if you go on YouTube right now and you type in Saint Madness, I don't know, it'll come up and I'm singing I don't know. And it's pretty close to Ozzy, I would say.
All right, cool.
But things happen as they should. The fans, of course, want to see Ozzy.
Yeah,
so the fans got to have what they wanted. And I'm a fan, so I got to have what I wanted too.
Yeah.
It was just the timing of it was so razor thin, but I still think about what a huge honor it was for me to have Rob Halford's manager approach me. That was wow, really.
Right. Yeah, unbelievable. What do you think of the Tony Martin era, Black Sabbath?
Well, he did 4 albums. I think Tony Martin is a great vocalist. One of the most boring guys on stage I've ever watched. He has no personality. You're following a guy like Ozzy and Dio with this guy who sings great, but he doesn't really. Every video I've seen of him, I haven't seen him live with them, to be fair, but every video I've seen, he's just kind of boring. He just kind of walks around and just sings and if that's all you want, that's fine. But you're following Ozzy, a madman, and the Dio. Dio was a very dramatic guy when he sang.
Right.
So that's where I fall short with Tony Martin. But as far as vocal wise, he's one of the best. Great vocalist.
Yeah, definitely. We actually got to do that at some point, Lou. That era of Black Sabbath.
Well, if Greg, bottoms out next week, we'll talk about it.
We'll do that. We'll have to get that set up.
I love the Born Again album with Ian Gillan. That's one of my favorite Sabbath albums.
I love Born Again, yeah.
That's Greg's favorite, too. We'll have to have you on a show when we do that one, because Greg loves that one, too.
Yeah. I found 2 albums online. This is in the 90s, right? I have them. They're CDs of whole shows that they played in like Stockholm, Sweden, and somewhere in Chicago. They're the whole concert with Ian Gillan, and then they end each concert with Smoke on the Water.
I heard that.
Smoke on the Water. Isn't that cool? So I cherish those CDs because I can't find them anywhere, but they have them. Like there was only 500 of each pressed. I don't know if it's true or not, but Marge and I have tried to find other copies and we're not able to.
I'm sure Greg has it. Greg has everything. Greg's got a very good collection over there, especially with that era Black Sabbath stuff. He has all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So if you need something, he's the guy.
Hmm.
I have a live concert of Metallica in the bars. Cliff Burton's first gig with Metallica,
Mm.
with Dave Mustaine still in the band, and I have the whole concert. It was a bar, and Dave Mustaine and David Ellefson used to go to AA meetings here in town, and that's where I met them. And I was sitting with, one time I showed up late to a meeting and there was probably 300 people in the room. And of course, when you're late and you open the door, everybody turns around and looks at you like, look at the late asshole, you know? So I'm standing there and I'm like, oh my God, where am I going to sit? And Dave Mustaine looks up and he goes, Pat, come sit by me. And I was like, oh my God, cool. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to sit with Dave. So I sat with Dave and I told him about this CD. And he goes, I didn't know such a thing existed. I said, well, somebody must have had a DAT player or something in the audience because they recorded the whole show and I have it. And I told him I would print him a copy. And I didn't see him after that, you know, but I said, I'm not going to give you my original because I paid $35 for it. But I will burn it for you so you have, you know, the whole show. And he won. So he said he didn't even know it was out there.
Yeah, a lot of people probably don't.
No, record things all the time, you know.
Yeah. All right. Well, back to your oh my God, I'm stumbling on my words here. Back to your solo album. It's a great album, and everybody can get it on Bandcamp. What's going on with Saint Madness? What's new album being on the works or what?
We have 2 brand new songs written, and I'm kicking around the idea of retiring from heavy metal in 2023 because that'll be 30 years that Saint Madness has been around, and I don't want to be out there when I'm staying too long and people say, wow, you know, you should have quit like 5 years ago. I want to do a good job for the fans and the people who care about Saint Madness. And I can do a good job, but I want to walk away while I can still do a good job. I don't want to wait too long and just kind of trickle off, you know. And I'm not for sure going to retire it then, but we've been talking about it. And it really seems like a good idea, you know, to me. We want to make at least one more album. And we have a song already written called My Music Manifesto. And it's my way of saying goodbye to the fans.
Mm. So are you going to continue it doing other music after the heavy metal stuff? Then okay, all right.
Yeah, I would continue doing the Prophet and the Cowboys stuff probably, or something else like that.
Right.
But you know, what I was telling you at the beginning of the show, today I spent 5 hours in a hospital getting IV treatments. When I was born with the boy in the plastic bubble disease, which is an autoimmune deficiency. And years ago, I would never talk about this in press because I didn't want anybody to judge me by my blood disease. But I was born with it. It's in my family. So when I was a kid, I was constantly sick. They found it when I was 8 years old, and believe it or not, they told my mom and my stepdad, the doctors, we're sorry, but children born with this don't survive. And you'll be lucky if he's a teenager. And here I am now, I'm 58 years old. My parents are dead. I outlived everybody because they have these IV treatments that every other Tuesday I go in and it boosts my immune system and makes it so I can still be here, right? So I'm 58 now, and as I get older, mind you, you know, big rock stars can have a doctor go on the road with them or a nurse. They have oxygen tanks. They have vitamin B12 shots. They have all this stuff that I don't have. All I've been able to do is just get up there and give it my best, and that's all I've ever done. You know, there's been times I went on stage after a week of chemotherapy because I had cancer in 2005. And my doctor swore to me, I will never do that show because you'll be too sick. And I said, I have to do the show because it's a show on the reservation. And it's the first time that my native friends have invited my band to play on the reservation. I'm not missing it. So I did 7 songs and I was sick, as you might imagine. But I still did it. You know, I've gotten up there with pneumonia, all kinds of illnesses, whatever. The show must go on.
Yeah.
So as I get older, it's just getting more difficult for me. It's not that I don't love it as much as I always have. I do. But that, you know, being older and then my blood disease and stuff, sometimes it wears me down.
All right. Well, at least you're going to continue. That's the good thing in music in some form.
I have music. If I could do metal music for 100 years, I would.
Yeah.
You know, I don't want to let anybody down, though. I don't want to be getting up there when they're feeling sorry for me, kind of like how I feel for Ozzy right now when I watch,
Oh God.
I watch his last tour, a lot of the videos, and I love Ozzy, okay, but I just felt bad. I don't want to feel bad watching me like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. I just saw a video the other day. Somebody had him listening to rap music or something, and he's sitting on the couch and he's got gray hair. He don't have his hair dyed or anything, and he looks disheveled, and he's old, so
yeah,
it's hard.
The guy's 70 years old, 71. Yeah. I mean, hell, man, he's had a great life. But see, the difference between a guy like him and a guy like me, he has a shot to make lots of money if he does the final tour, and of course you want the money. If I keep going, I'm not going to make tons of money.
Right.
I'm just going to bore people after a while.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have big paydays and all that. And I'm not saying only to do it for money, but out of respect for the fans. Again, I don't want them looking up at me going, yeah, remember when he was good? I'd rather walk away with my head held up.
Yeah.
Prophet, I meant to ask you, I'm sure Arizona, where you're from, is probably where your biggest following is, but what other cities or states does Save Madness have their following? Like, I'm sure once the pandemic subsides, you'll go back to playing gigs and stuff, but I guess that's a two-part question, though. Like, so where are your biggest followings, and how have you been holding up with the pandemic?
I started thinking like this probably in the 90s. There are radio stations all over the world that play our music, literally. And I work as the label's press secretary or whatever you would say. I contact all these stations. I go looking for them every day, magazine stations. So I figured, you know what, if St. Madness can't go on a world tour, our music will. So I just send it everywhere. We get write-ups all over the place, like good write-ups, all over Brazil. We have tons of fans in Brazil, but I don't have a booking agent or a promoter down there who's going to pay us to fly us to go there. And now touring has become so expensive. I don't know. It's not that I don't want to tour, but if they want me to kill myself at 58 years old, get in a van and go tour and have venue owners say, oh, I'm sorry, I know I agreed to 1,500, but, I've only got 5. And if I don't know, in order, we'll do stuff like little spot touring, like go into a town for a weekend, play a couple shows, go back home, go to another town later, instead of killing ourselves on the road with a U-Haul trailer and all that. If I was 21, I would do that, but at this age, I'm not going to do that. So we have fans everywhere. We just don't tour. We haven't toured. God, when's the last time? Last time we played California even was like 2014 or something like that. 13, 14. It's been a while. We play predominantly in Arizona, all over Arizona. But again, our music's played all over Europe, many, many radio stations. And you'll see by a lot of my posts, because I try to thank people when they send me and they say, hey, we're going to play your song next Wednesday or whatever. I try to promote the radio stations and shows like Wayne's and stuff so that bands will go, hey, I'm going to send my stuff there too. I'm just trying to build it for everybody, because we're all in it together.
Right.
So I have fans everywhere and I hear from them, but I don't have the money to get to them. That's just the facts.
Yeah. Well, hopefully, maybe with your new solo album, maybe you will one day. Is there any place that you really do want to play? Like, if you could get there with the band, with St. Madness or with your solo stuff?
I would like to play in Holland, anywhere, because I lived in Holland as a boy and my stepdad was Dutch. And I just love Holland. Every time I go there, I feel at home. I would love to play anywhere in Brazil because we have so many fans down there. Right now, Tony Monteiro is a writer for Roadie Crew magazine, which is still an in-print magazine in Brazil, and it's their biggest one. He's doing a review of the Prophet and the Cowboy album right now. And he's reviewed our albums since 1998. The lowest review we ever got on an album from any magazine in Brazil was 8 out of 10. And they gave the God Bless America album 8 out of 10. And they didn't know who we were at the time. We just blindly sent it to them. But we mostly get 8.5 to 9.5s. And they really enjoy our music. And I have several radio stations down there, different magazines, online zines, whatever, and they're all fans of the band. But because I'm not on a label, I'm on my own label, I don't have them, setting me up for that tour and all that, I was on Andreas's radio show. Andreas is
from Sepultura,
right?
Yep.
Yeah, and he interviewed me like you are now, live. And he listened to the Blood Lescapades record, and he goes, we're friends with Sacred Reich, and Sacred Reich's going to come play with Sepultura, and maybe we'll try to find a way to bring St. Madness along as well. Well, it didn't happen because the Sacred Reich stuff is set up. I saw a poster for it. We never heard from him again, but he said he really enjoyed the record and he liked what we did, and I got a picture of him with it, and hey, it's all good,
That is awesome.
Things happen as they should. If I'm meant to do something, I'm going to do it. It's going to happen. If I'm not meant to do it, I'm not going to do it, but I'll still have a great life anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Well, if anybody wants to go check out The Prophet and the Cowboys of Apocalypse, there is the album cover. It's on my phone there. I'll put a nice picture on the thing there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what it looks like. Awesome album cover. Awesome album. I really enjoyed it a lot, and I think everybody will too. And where can they go again? What's the Bandcamp? Is it what is it?
If you just type in Bandcamp Saint Madness, that's ST.Madness. It'll bring up the Saint Madness page, and then just scroll to the bottom, and there's a little link there to Prophet and the Cowboys of Apocalypse. Okay. Just click that link, and you'll go right to both our albums. Now, Saint Madness stuff is available on iTunes, Reverb Nation, Spotify. It's on all those, and eventually the Prophet and the Cowboy stuff will be as well. We just released it first on Bandcamp. Now, check this out, right? This is kind of a bummer when you think about it. Bandcamp charges $40 a month to host your stuff.
Oh, really?
And then when we sell an album for $12, they take 4 of it. They take a third.
Really?
Right? Yeah. It's not enough that they charge $40 a month. Then they take a third of what we make on a digital copy of an album.
Wow.
That's some bullshit.
And then plus, now they got that thing on Fridays where they give, I guess, discounts to people that buy stuff.
Yeah. See, that's how they sell it. Oh, it's Friday. We're not going to rape you on Friday. You can sell your music and actually make the money from it. Because now, if we weren't paying them $40 a month already, I could see if they wanted a piece of the album sale. Okay. But we're already paying $40 a month. Now they want $4 per album sold.
That's
I got to find something better.
That's crazy. I didn't know that because I was going to go there too. But yeah, I'm going to have to second think that now. But everybody's on there. So.
I didn't know that either until Marge pointed it out to me like yesterday. I didn't even know.
You know what? I'll just PayPal him $15 for the copy that you sent me, Wayne.
There you go. That's the best thing that is the best thing to do.
Right. And eventually I will have CDs made. And I know most people don't listen to CDs, but CDs for me are like a calling card now. It shows the person what kind of product we make. And it's a professional product with nice artwork and everything. And because I'm old, when I grew up, the most important thing a musician wanted was to have their own record. And when everything's digital, what happens if the internet ever goes down? I mean, I still save all my CDs and everything, and I can see behind you that you do as well. I love my CDs. I love them. I'll never get rid of them.
And Luda started buying CDs again too, because he got rid of his and bought them.
Yeah,
right?
I'm definitely building my my inventory up, and I'm happy about it. But if baby girl needs new shoes, she gets new shoes before I buy new stuff.
Absolutely.
And then we were talking
And
too. Go ahead.
yeah. Oh, well, I was just going to say people have got back into buying vinyl,
Yeah.
because nothing sounds like a vinyl record.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of against that, but then I found out, yeah, it's true. But like
Yeah.
we were talking a couple of weeks ago with the streaming thing, like you'll see an album on there one time, and then next time you go back to listen to it, it'll be gone.
Right.
For some reason, I have no idea why, but they don't always stay on there. So
Well,
streaming is a pain in the ass, but it's the thing to do now. But
we're getting used to spending money and getting nothing physical back for it.
right, yeah.
And back in the day, remember when and maybe you don't, but like when Priest came out with Screaming for Vengeance, or if you pick any of your favorite bands when you were growing up and you knew they had a new album coming out, how excited you were to get that album. You couldn't wait to read the liner notes and take it apart and look at it, look at the artwork, and that was something really special to people like us. Now these kids, like what would a band like Pink Floyd do now? Because they make concept albums, right? Kids don't care about concept albums. They hear one or two songs they like, they download the one or two songs, could care less about the rest of the record. That's sad. I make concept albums, and the Last Days in Paradise is a bit of a concept album, and I don't know how to be any other way.
Right.
But now it's just about singles. It's not about albums.
Right. Yeah. And hopefully that changes at some point, but I don't see that in any future, soon future anyway.
Right.
But again, thank you very much for coming on. You don't have to leave right yet, but let's end this show. But again, thank you for coming back on the show. Had a lot of fun.
Same here. It was a pleasure meeting you.
This way, and I had such a good time the last time. I've watched that probably 3 times, the last show I did with you, just because it was fun. I really, really enjoyed it. So when you asked to have me on again, I couldn't wait,
Yeah. Well, all thanks to Matt Schaffer, your old roadie.
Yeah, he's a great guy. Matthew is a wonderful person. He went to school with my son, Joshua. They were very good friends. He worked with our band, and he's just a wonderful guy. And what a funny guy, too. Great sense of humor. Hard worker, smart kid. Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing very good for himself too, from what I see. But yeah, again, please everybody go check out Saint Madness and Prophet's album, The Prophet and the Cowboys of Apocalypse, and please go buy it and help out the band. And we will see you guys. Oh, can people go to your Facebook if they want to add you? Your if What is it?
Yeah, I don't have I don't know the link in my head right now, but if you just type in Saint Madness, like ST Madness, it's the only one out there, so it'll come up.
All right.
And there's a Prophet Saint Madness page, so if you just type in Prophet Saint Madness, it'll come right up.
All right, very cool. So everybody go follow him, and we'll see you guys next time.
Wait, Wayne.
What?
You didn't ask me where they could find me.
No, nobody cares. Everybody,
you know why?
What?
Hold on. You know why?
Why?
Because you can find me at a pub with a pint of Guinness in Arizona the next time Saint Madness is a show. Cheers.
Hell yeah.
And actually, too, Lou, you do have your new episode just came out, so tell us a little bit about that, and then we can get out of here.
Oh, well, I just wanted to put Saint Madness over. No, well, actually, I just released the first 2 parts of a 3-part interview with George Fullen, who produced my wife's record from 2004 till about 2007. It was a labor of love, but over time, because we didn't have the budget to just record everything in a week or 2, so it took 3 years. But George is a great friend and a great producer engineer. He's worked with bands as varied, artists and bands as varied as Cyndi Lauper, Dream Theater, Alicia Keys. I can keep going. The man has had so many artists that he's worked with under his belt. So the whole 3-part interview, of which parts 1 and 2 are available on my YouTube page, Music is Live Podcast, and on Rat Salad Review. It's just about his life and career. And I'm right now in the middle of editing the final part of it and looking to release it hopefully in the next week or 2. And George was a great person to interview. Really enjoyed the 3 hours I got to spend with him, but I realized it was a 3-hour interview, so I had to break it up into 3 1-hour parts.
That's all.
Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, everybody, please go subscribe to your Lou's YouTube page, Music is Life podcast, right? I think it is.
That's right. And please like and subscribe and comment on the Rats That I Review YouTube page.
That's right. Please do all that. Subscribe to everybody's pages, and we will see you next week.
Salute.
Bye.
What?